the whole point of this, of why we want to do this class is I'm hoping that by the end of this sort of discussion that we have, that number one, you're going to feel a little more confident after we talk about some stuff about starting a practice. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and we have no control over that. The economy is what it's going to be, but yet there are still successful practices out there. I'm thankful to be one of them. That being said, if you have the knowledge and the tools, just like anything else that you learn in PT school, and you execute on those things, you have a very high chance and probability of being successful. Make sense? We're going to demystify a couple of things that you might have thought were like really kind of scary, and you'll see how simple things are if we can put them into frameworks for you to see that, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. All I have to do is take these little steps to get there. Fair enough? Cool. What I noticed about the questions from our 10 people here is that I actually highlighted them in green. Most of them are actually regarding marketing, believe it or not. And that is a big weak point for a lot of clinicians coming into the field. Do we know why that might be? Yes, Matthew. Matthew's my media guy. Matthew, say hello to Matthew. Matthew is my guy here.
What I see from so I'm not a doctor, but what I see from the marketing side of it is in order to be a doctor, you need to have a very green, empathetic personality to market physical therapy in this day and age. And that transition from wanting to help and needing to get people to pay is a difficult jump from clinician to salesman. And that's the biggest hurdle I see from doctors, marketing, PT nowadays.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Matthew. Very much. Anyone else have an idea of why it's hard to market physical therapy? Yes. What's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda. Thank you, Amanda.
I was just initially thinking that in our years of school, we don't have much content on marketing itself, especially if that wasn't your major and under.
That's a great point, Amanda.
As you go.
Yeah. Anyone else? I want to hear from everybody. Why is it so hard to market physical therapy? Yes. Esma. Esma.
It's because like we go to school to become PTs and
Yep.
not marketers.
Sure. Okay. What else? So education, right? Yes, Dib.
It's hard to differentiate ourselves between others because
Tell me.
we're all trying to be physical therapists, and it's kind of very similar to what we're offering, but
You're
how to specialize or make it different from others.
good. So you're touching on a nerve here, and this is what I'm going to ask you, okay? If I were to take a microphone and walk on the street in Newark, and I said, what does a physical therapist do? How many answers are we going to get? What have you already heard? Come on, call it out.
How many people are you going to ask?
Exercise, what, personal trainer? Torture, what else? Professionally. Massage therapist, what else? Athletic trainer, oh, you're a sports trainer, right? You're a chiropractor, right? You do manips and stuff, right? Now you're an acupuncturist if you do dry needling.
Or they say fix me.
Or they say fix me, exactly. Do you see how it's hard to identify to the general public what we do? And that's probably one gripe I have with the APTA, where that has been hard to, not with Nancy. Yes. So that is a really hard thing to get out there and say, I'm a physical therapist. Which is why if you and I go out there and say, oh, I'm a physical therapist, and we try to sell what we do as physical therapists, we will not be successful in getting the people we want to buy our services. Instead, what you and I have to do is get out there, we got to show them the roadmap to the outcomes that they want to get to. And in doing so, we will add in what we do as physical therapists, whether it's manual therapy, needling, regenerative physical therapy, physio modalities, your functional programs for exercise. All these things will weigh in on what they need to get to what they want. Very important. Does that make sense? Cool. So we have to be clear on who we want to serve. David, I think you touched on this. You got to be really specific in your marketing about who you want to serve, which means that you got to figure out who your ideal client is. I'm going to leave it right there for a second, all right? Before we get into that, I'm going to talk about why I'm here. And, oh, actually, before I came for selfish reasons too. Do we have any runners here? Excellent. So we are looking for a runner at our runner PT at our Wycliffe Lake office. What's different about Next Level, if I may say in a nutshell, is that what we try to do is I love sharing the limelight. it's not just about me. I want to bring everyone up to a level where their preeminence and their authority is well known in the community. So we market and promote that person for that specialty. We happen to see a lot of runners and hybrid athletes. And unfortunately, we have some in our group, but I was probably the only runner there. Now that I'm in North Carolina, we don't have one there. So it'd be great to have someone like that. So what year are you all in? So you have one more year left? So what's your name again? Jonathan? Okay, John Luca?
Yeah.
John Luca, please keep in touch. Okay, great. We'll get to meet. So we got a little job interview here too. Great.
And they're in the accelerated program, so it's not really.
Half a year.
I mean, like a year, not even.
January
fully.
20th.
They'll be done in
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, we'll talk sooner than that. Yeah. So the kind of person that we're looking for in a nutshell is we love self-starters. I'm not the kind of guy to hold your hand through stuff, but I will show you the way. You just got to be able to do the things that are required to help build that community. I can only go so much with our paid ads and whatnot. It really becomes, can we get a face in front of the audience that we want to treat? And can we help that person build the community they want to do, they want to work with, so that we can all benefit from that. My business philosophy is triple win. So I know that if I can get a team to get recognized, to be acknowledged, to build the preeminence and authority, that will attract the right kinds of people, the company do well too. Everybody wins at this, right? It's not just about, it can never be a one-man show unless you are just a solopreneur. Cool. Anyone know why now is the best time to be a DPT? It's exciting. I've been doing this for 23 years. I'm still not bored. Crazy, right? You're probably in class like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I gotta work now. Anyone in? Why is it a good time? Yeah.
Especially like after
Sure.
so now you've gone physical
Yeah.
therapy.
Exactly. Yes, what's your name?
Allie.
Allie. We have a lot of weekend warriors, more than ever since COVID. It's kind of funny, which happens to be our ideal client. And the other thing is that there's a big shift now towards cash-based practices. And I'm going to tell you right now, Nancy, I don't know how you feel about this, but being in the field right now, it is probably going to be the only way to really make a good living as a physical therapist in the future, given how reimbursements are dwindling year to year. Which is funny because, ironically, United Healthcare, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Aetna all trade on the stock market. I don't know how that happened. I don't see how that's illegal, but it is what it is. So they're making money, we're not. So the only way we can do that is if we do cash-based services. I would say all of our practices are cash-based primarily. We do see some Medicare. I would say down in Cary, we have no Medicare. And you're probably wondering, well, how the hell did you do that, right? So what happened was, because we're so specific on who we're trying to treat and go after, when somebody calls in and they say, do you take my insurance? The first question we asked them was, what do you do for your activities? Oh, well, I sit on the couch. Well, you know, we're not the right fit for you, actually. But we have two partners in the field who see a lot of Medicare. I think you're actually the right fit for them. Can I give you their number? Sure. Great. See how easy that was? When you get specific about and you know exactly who you want to treat and who your ideal client is, it becomes easier for you to say no to who doesn't fit into your model. Yes, Esma?
Can you clarify what population you're targeting to your business model?
Sure, we can go into it. So our ideal client is a runner or a hybrid athlete. That's our main hub. We have three sub-niches. We have elite youth college athletes. Then we have golfers and tennis players kind of thing. And then what's the third one? We used to have pelvic floor when Pam was here, but right now that's pretty much our three main kind of populations there. Our age group demographic is 35 to 60, okay? And if you look at all of our targeting, if you look at our Facebook ads and you look at who we're actually reaching out to, even Instagram, it's the same group. Even our podcast is hitting that same ideal territory for who we want to treat. And we see mostly women more than men. So a lot of our language and messaging is going to be geared a certain way in order to make sure we're speaking to the right people. Got it? Any questions yet? Good. So I want to know before we go further is why we are in this elective. All right, so I'm going to go around the room since we have time. We're going to start with Nick. Why did you decide to take this business elective?
So, just to kind of preface.
Can't tell.
So based on that, I want to kind of have a gym, but then also a physical. And I just kind of want to, that's what I want to do. That's kind of like the main goal. Input based on all the guest speakers and just learn in general on how to do that.
Got it. So it sounds like you probably don't want to work for like a Kessler or a professional.
Right.
Okay.
I don't really have experience doing that yet. My first clinical rotation was in a subacute rehab facility, and I like that. But kind of the main goal is
Your long-term goal is that.
long-term is that.
Cool. Malika?
Malika.
Okay.
Yep. Similar to Nick,
Mhm.
I've been a swimmer my whole life.
Yeah, have you? Oh wow. We used to do a lot of triathlons, so.
Yeah.
I'm very envious of swimmers because they're just amazing in the water. But go ahead, Malika. Yeah.
So I haven't seen a lot of practices that are water-based or aquatic therapy-based.
Yeah.
That has been the goal.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be me long-term because I'm finding interest in other specialties
Sure.
too. But the goal has always been to have my own practice where I can introduce different types of therapy that are.
It's great. So it sounds you both want practice freedom, true?
Yes.
Which gives you freedom of purpose. Okay, Dylan.
Yeah, I would say I also fall along the lines of that phrase being a like creative person, so I feel the need to like kind of express myself through whether it's like through like music or like whether it's like listening or coming
The
up with
arts,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like you can do the same thing through building a practice.
Yeah.
And although I am interested in like sports, I played soccer when I was
Nice.
younger, so
Yeah.
ideally it's my dream to work with athletes. I build something that can cover those types of caseloads to work with, but also kind of put my own like spin on it, whether it's through philosophy of treating or even just simply just the makeup of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that, Dylan. Yeah. Edmund.
For me, I think are so like so the more general audience, like reimbursements and volume.
Yeah.
So I feel like just focusing more on the patients is where it's still a little bit about volume, but I feel like just having more for the patients would be
Yeah.
more fulfilling.
We'll get this in a bit. I think it was David who might have asked, or somebody asked a question about how do we deal with reimbursements and stuff like that. Well, the way that we deal with this is by charging cash. And if you're charging enough, volume is less of a concern. If you're getting more revenue per visit, maybe you'll see 30 patients or 25 patients a week for the kind of level that you want to live at and be able to cover your expenses and make a good living from that until you decide to hire people. But you also get the freedom to do what you want to do in that setting as well. So volume becomes less of an issue. Yes, Gianluca. Thank you, Gianluca.
I think there's a lot of aspects to why I would want a business owner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a
The
mill.
ones of the world.
Oh yeah. The worst.
I personally, I want to be.
Imagine
a
that.
has sports.
Yeah.
I think that's really unique, especially for like one of the running capitals of the world in New York City.
Yes.
So that's the goal, and I mean, growing up, you think like they say the apple doesn't fall too far. So my dad's a business owner.
Yeah,
I didn't think
mine
that
was too.
possible,
I
so
get it, yeah.
That's possibly why I'm more of just geared towards that.
I love that. You know, it's funny. Went through 6 of us here, and nobody's mentioned money. It's crazy, right? Go ahead. You want to talk about money, Allie? No, I'm just kidding.
So I played soccer in college.
Nice.
I ended up with 3 knee surgeries.
Ooh.
So I was telling him how I wanted to do PT. I switched it really last minute because of him. I really I wanted to do what he did.
Yeah.
But he was like, be careful because there's not a lot of places like this out there. And I'm from Maryland, so it's back in Maryland.
Yes.
It's it's not that common, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to see why it's not that common and why it's hard or how
Yeah.
to do
To
it.
answer your question real quickly, it comes down to the marketing sales process and how targeted you are in those areas. The more targeted you can be, the more likelihood you're going to be able to attract the kind of people you want to work with. And I'll say this, a repeating theme throughout what we talk about today, you must do what is required of you as a founder, visionary of your practice, in order for you to succeed. Which means that, for me, I am by nature an introvert, if you can't tell, but I get all my strength and recharge when I'm by myself. So my wife and kids will know that I need time alone. So whether I'm walking the park by myself, I need to do that, to do things like this, because that's how that's how I roll. So, but I know that for my business and as a mentor and as a coach, I need to do things like this. So it's taken an evolution of me to become this person in order to do the things like we're doing right now, sharing our knowledge. And for you as well, you're going to have to do what it's required for you to become the version of yourself that's best needed for your business. If you keep that in mind through all that you do, like, oh, if you feel resistance or like not comfortable in these situations, understand that it's going to be an opportunity for you to grow as well. It's not just about, oh, I got to just see the patient and stuff like that. We get caught in the weeds. It's got to be something bigger than that. Otherwise, you're just going to be an employee of your business, right? Nothing different. Yes, Alyssa.
So I ran hurdles in college.
You did,
I
nice.
had many knee surgeries.
Friend over here.
I'm also an athletic trainer. So
Oh,
I
cool.
wanted to,
Awesome.
be able to bridge the gap.
Oh,
I
that's
have
awesome.
a full all-around
I love it.
athlete gets hurt on the sideline, then I see them throughout the whole recovery.
Stay friendly with her. We love ATCs, Alyssa. Thank you for what you do in the field. It's amazing. Yes, Mesh.
Hi. So as a rock climber and as,
Oh, nice.
NJ Rock Gym's ambassador.
Oh, wow.
So I found the need and like there's a niche of rock climbing PT.
Yeah.
There's only 2 in the state,
Mhm.
and to add what I can bring and to be different, especially as incorporating functional activity and doing like say belaying somebody on the wall
Yeah.
while billing that as something that's tangible and can be used for somebody to improve no matter
Yeah.
where they are in their like journey
Yeah,
makes it's just putting all of my lives together,
that's awesome.
and so that's why. And also my gym wants to make a space for me someday, so like the goal is to like fill that niche.
Do you know the gym in Newark here?
Yes, method.
Yes. So do you know the owners?
I haven't. I
met
don't
them,
know
huh?
their owners, but
Okay, got it. Yeah. So yeah, I know the owners of that building. We used to work with a lot of climbers and their kids, like Nora Chi. I don't know if you. I don't know. She was like a high level climber. But anyway, David.
Yeah, so it's very similar to Nick. Like I would like the end goal would be to like a clinic inside a gym, but
Yeah.
I would want to tailor that toward like high school, college athletes, because at my clinic, my CI has his own PT clinic, which is more sports based, and I remember he had a lot of certificates and like sports, so that's something that really interested me. So that's something that's why I would want my own practice. Also, just to like, as everyone said, just to put their own spin into it, like just
Yeah.
have that creative freedom to like
Yeah.
tailor an exercise to like that specific like athlete or patient.
Sure. Got it. Esma.
At least for me, being on the patient flip end of it, yet again, having that emotional experience.
Which one?
Making specifying
Mhm.
the patient population
Yeah.
you're trying to target.
Sure. So, and I was actually in the same boat 22 years ago. And why I bring that up is because I thought I had to treat everybody. And I was like, oh, I don't, you know. So we had our original unique service proposition was, oh, we treat active adults and their families. So I can see, because I was seeing pediatrics, I was working early intervention, and I was seeing athletes, and I was also seeing some Medicare, right? So I saw the entire gamut. And that was really helpful, but at some point, you're gonna have to make a decision for yourself if you really wanna start, like, have your business be a hub. Doesn't mean that you can't see pediatrics, doesn't mean that you can't see adults and whatnot, but you have to dial in on what specific population you're gonna have to work with. Because what's gonna happen is, even though we see runners and hybrid athletes, we get kids come in, right? So I satisfy that part. We have a lot of youth kids who come in. That's why we had that other sub-niche. So we have a separate marketing message for those parents. So you can definitely get everybody, but once you focus on the one thing, the things other people start coming in. And people come in because they're like, well, I know you only work with runners and hybrid, but I'm a golfer. You know, do you work with golf? I have this back issue. It sounds like you help so-and-so on your reviews. As a matter of fact, we do. Come on in, right? Larry.
So similar to like most of the
Yeah.
guys here, my main interest is obviously I want to own my own practice. I want to own what I do.
I like that.
I also play soccer.
Yeah.
I play still of my life. So I also want to base it more into sports.
Yeah.
But the way I want to do it, I also want to do it in correlation with like strength training.
Yeah.
So I feel obviously, especially in young athletes, like there's like misconceptions and stuff. So I think that will prevent further injuries and also enhance their performance. So I think that's kind of like
Yeah.
the idea that I have.
Got it. Cool. And I'm glad you said that. I would say, Larry, just because I was going to say to that. We'll come back to that in a second. But Tim, go ahead.
So similar to Esma and
Yeah.
a couple other people, I used to work for Mel, I used to work for Jag. And I like the PTs I work for.
Yeah,
like,
they're great
awesome
people. And that's the thing. Like, our colleagues are cool. It's just that the system sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the concept behind, they were seeing like $5 an hour. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is, like, it was cool to work with, but like, it's too much at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to the patients overall. And also not fair to the PTs because they're going home taking hours of work.
Yes, notes and everything. Yeah, even with AI software now, like where you can dictate your notes, it's still going to take a lot of work.
So that's one reason.
Yeah.
Another reason is like, I've had like a bunch of bad employers, you know, over
Sure.
the years.
Yeah.
And I don't want to kind of take like their negatives and turn it into positives and not do those type of things to my
I love that.
employers.
Yeah.
That's another reason. And then also like I don't want to have that restraint of being an employee. I want to be able to, you know, grow as like with my business.
Absolutely, yeah. Wasn't to say, and a lot of people want to work with athletes, and I was the same way too. The one caveat you have to be careful of is that, and this is interesting, but a lot of parents would prefer to go through insurance. And this is the way it is. And a lot of injuries that happen on the field, if you go through school insurance, it will take you 6 to 12 months to get paid. So understand that might be a subset that you're going to be seeing, but if you're looking at that as a main thing, we have to be very, very intentional about what your message is going to be for you to be successful. This doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means we have to have a lot more thought and intention into your marketing message to make sure we are speaking to the hearts and families of of the athletes that we're treating. And because all of your athletes and playing the sports that you did, I think you have already what the thoughts and feelings are of parents, that you can speak to them in a way that's going to be, I want to go see Allie, or I want to go see Larry, right? Allie, Larry, good. Zach.
Yeah, so I also worked in a bunch of mills. I worked for a JAG, Sports Care Professional.
There's a repeating theme here. We got soccer players, we got JAG, we got, okay, go ahead.
But one summer I went into a cash-based business
Yeah.
to ask a channel,
Mm-hmm.
and he offered me an aide position, which it was just really awesome watching.
Amazing, isn't it?
What he did, and
Yeah.
like he had 4 PTs under him, and it was just awesome to see.
On the hour, yeah. What, may I ask where you worked as an aide?
Mile High.
Mile High, oh. Is that in Montville? Okay, got it. Cool. John.
So I'm going to continue the trend. I used
Yes.
to be a soccer player.
Okay. A lot of has-beens here. Okay, here we go.
Injured my knee. Had
Of course you heard your knee.
I had 2 knee surgeries for it. And when I went to PT,
Yeah.
I went to a PT nearby here in Newark. I built a really close and strong relationship with my PT.
Yeah.
He's a great influence for me. He's actually the reason why I kind of decided to take PT route.
Very good.
Career choice.
Yeah.
So he owned his practice as well.
Yeah.
He actually just opened up a second clinic, and
Nice.
he has some PTs working for him now too.
Very good.
So he's kind of been my role model throughout my journey. Even
Yeah.
now he's what kind of talked to him. So he introduced me a lot to like the business aspect of things and how he ran his business and what things worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
So he's one of the reasons why I also want to open up my own.
Cool. Who's your PT or your guy?
Dr. Masood.
Masood.
He came to Rutgers too.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Aided? Is it aided?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your story?
So I was a dancer.
Nice.
I do not want to work with athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Dancers.
She broke the trend here. Here we go. Stops at aided.
I want to do neuro and peds. So I'm thinking about opening a clinic on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I know for like outpatient neuro clinics, it's kind of hard to find.
Yeah, you never know, right? So maybe by the end you'll feel like, oh, maybe I want to do this.
Yeah.
Jacqueline.
I don't have any super cool stories.
Darn.
I've also worked in mills, and
Yes.
I like the idea of being one-on-one with patients.
Yeah.
I don't know if I for sure want to open my own practice,
Sure.
but it's an option.
Yes, always an option.
And I think it's cool, and I like the freedom of it. So.
Yeah. Great. Amanda.
Same thing with the mills.
Yeah, the mills.
But I think my main thing here is I want to one day have a good amount
Yes,
for a while, and
for a while.
maybe have that balance. But if I am my own boss, I'll have the practice freedom, making or tailoring to your own schedule, and avoiding burnout, and also really feeling a reward prioritizing patient care at the same time while being your own boss.
Yeah.
I worked at Twinborough. I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, Twinborough. Oh my God.
Really
I can't believe it's still around, to be honest.
When I actually graduated and left the office, I was like, it's not that bad, but I really just like the staff. And it was
Yeah.
still bad of a business model, pretty bad
Yeah.
too, because it's sad thought to me to think about all the school we're going through and then
Yeah.
just feeling burned out really early.
Yes. And even as a practice owner, you're not going to be exempt from burnout. And so the caution I'm going to say to you is that if you know that you're going in with eyes wide open, that you're going to have to it's going to suck for a couple of years, possibly up to 3 years or so. But knowing that you're actually, like everyone has said over here, you're working for yourself, right? So you're going to take ownership of all the stuff that sucks, but also all the stuff that actually works out really well.
Yeah.
It's those little sort of morsels sometimes that happen, or you're like, oh my God, this is why I did it. And that's the cool part. And those are things enough. If you have enough of those lining up, it'll kind of get you through to the next phase. And as you go through that first year in particular, and I know Dr. Kirsch definitely knows this, as a practice owner, you're going to start building capacity to handle the next thing. So the stuff that I used to stress out about 20 years ago, it's like child's play. I have we have 20 staff, there's bigger issues, we've got bigger cash flow things we got to keep in mind. Those are big boy problems now, right? Whereas before it's like, oh, I don't, he didn't call me back, maybe I hurt him, I don't, these kinds of things come out when you're a solopreneur. And you get worried about those things because you don't want to do bad by your patients, right? Cool. So quickly, my story, 2015, I was in a partnership for probably too long. And there's a reason why I would probably steer everyone away from a partnership from the beginning, because I think a lot of us can do stuff on our own and be totally fine. But I was in a partnership where we were basically in a mill. So you're seeing over 100 patients a week. Even though I was a partner in the business, I felt like I was doing a lot of the stuff that I didn't want to be doing forever. So treating patients like that was just not the way I wanted to treat. So I left the partnership. My ex-partner is still working somewhere. He has his own practice. But as a result, I wanted to start my own thing, and this is why the burnout was huge. And even as a partner, what I felt was that we can do better than this. And I think all of you feel that way. We can do way better than JAG and Twinborough. And so I wanted to provide that one-on-one environment for our patients where I can give the best service that I can, have the best outcomes, and make sure that they are out there in the community spreading the word that we're a little bit different. And from there, we've evolved to where we're super niche as far as like the people that we're treating, but I'm a lot happier as a practitioner. I only see probably 8 to 10 patients a week now in our startup location down south, but eventually I will get back into my seat, which is the CEO founder. My skill set is networking, mentoring, and making shit happen. So what I love about being in the founder seat is that 10 years ago, there was no next level, right? 3 years ago, there was no Dylan DPT's practice, right? You're all, if you guys go into this field, into this entrepreneur, there won't have been a business with your name on it. Isn't that crazy? We've created 20 jobs. It's pretty wild when you think about that stuff. And we have a really great culture. Everyone's really active. That's a big part of our prerequisites. You gotta be a hustler. You gotta be physically active. You gotta make sure that you are humble. You can be coached, but you're also willing to teach others too. So we want to make sure that, again, like I said, we share that limelight with everybody. And I think one of our students, actually, Anthony Mangiato? Yeah, he's working for, he actually graduated last year from us. But the cool part is that, would you, Dylan, if you're a guy on the street and you found something like, a good place, do you think you could charge $300 for an IE right now?
Definitely not.
Why not? Why not, Dylan? I believe in you.
I mean, if it was just me, I feel like who am I to just like tell this person, yeah, trust me, give me $300.
You need a hug, man.
But I feel like you need a reputation first. You gotta
Do you really? But we have 2 new grads who are charging $300 for an IE. Oh, very well, yeah. And I'm going to teach you a process that you guys can start even today, and you will successfully win 80% of your business. How about that? I don't think they teach that in grad school yet. Right? We'll teach that right now. Good. Actually, it's funny because if I were to be on faculty, I would just spend the whole semester on marketing. That's how important it is. Marketing and sales. And sales is just the confidence that you need to do the marketing well, right? How about you? You think who'd want to pay for you for $300 for an IE?
Sure.
Yeah? Why? Got it. Zach, what makes you think you can charge $300? Say that again. That was beautiful.
Population based. So
Yes.
if I'm a runner.
Because they see the value for a unique solution that only Zach DPT LLC can provide. Correct? Right, exactly. And that is why our new grads with no reputation yet can do that. Right? So they come into our system because the entire team has been coached once people get the phone call that this is why you want to be here. And that is why one of our PTs down in North Carolina, not only for the IE, but also several $1,000s of plans of care. Cash. Shouldn't that be all of you? Wouldn't it be nice? Yes. Good. Now, nobody has talked about money, which is really funny to me, but why is that? Does anyone not want to make a lot of money? You guys, no one's got debt here? It's too much to even count? Yes.
A lot of us came in here to help people. So like that's
Sure.
our number one thing, like just to help people, and then
Got
I
it.
feel like the money will come like as we
Possibly,
help more.
yeah. But you can work for someone and help people,
That's true.
right, Tim? Yeah. So what's it going to take for you to become a staff PT versus an entrepreneur? What's the difference there? Exactly, right. So you're going to invest in yourself. It's really important. Exactly. Anyone hear of Alex Hormozy before? I know you have. No? Alex Hormozy? Oh my God, Alex Hormozy. Write this down, people. A lot of my stuff that I do is based on what Alex Hormozy preaches and teaches. He would probably be my online mentor, if you will. So you have people who are willing to take action with great ideas, and you have people who want to take action with good ideas, but they don't.
It's H-O-R.
H-O-R-M-O-Z-I. Hormozy.
Hormozy.
Alex. He's got a lot of facial hair.
Yeah.
He's really jacked, actually. You like him. Yeah. So in life we have, and in this class possibly, we have entrepreneurs who are people with great ideas and take action to get things done. They execute. And we have wantrepreneurs, people who are like, oh, I have this great idea, but then they don't do anything with it. I would even say these are whinypreneurs because they make every excuse. Say, oh, well, fill in the blank. I have too much student debt. I'm an introvert. You know, they have all these different excuses. So do we want to be in that category or do we want to be in this other category? We want to take action, right? Exactly. So what do you think, Edmund, is about? What is it about you, Edmund, where you think you could actually make this happen? Your personal qualities and traits.
I feel like, well,
Excellent.
been in a restaurant.
Respect. It's a really hard business.
Yeah, maybe not my choice.
Yeah, never my choice. I think we're all in the same boat here, man.
But I just
Sure.
some of the responsibilities that I had
Mhm.
working there, like
That's beautiful, and I would agree with you. My father was a business owner as well, and at the time, all my whole life, I wanted to resist it, but we become our parents. It's weird. My dad was like, "You're the last one we thought we'd be like the owner, right?" It's really funny. So yes, how about you, Nick?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. What makes you think that you can actually be successful as a practice owner?
Well, from my experiences being as a person, I've kind of had to like sell to people as well, and I think that's one of like the biggest things, in what you're talking about. I think the biggest thing is trust.
Yeah.
And getting people to trust you that
Mhm.
you can bring results and people your value.
Yeah.
I think just connecting with people on a deeper level and getting people to trust you.
Sure.
And really connect with them, and that's key to being a successful.
Mm-hmm.
With that takes selling, like Nick said, and being able to sell yourself and pitch what you have to say, and
Yeah.
also just earn that respect from different populations.
Yeah.
So that matters a lot. So I think that those.
Okay, cool. Who should we go around? Amanda, what makes you think that you're going to be a successful business owner?
That's a good question. I started thinking about it as
Yeah.
everyone was talking.
Yeah.
I think I really prioritize trying to meet people where they are,
Mhm.
in all different experiences I've had since like maybe college or high school.
Mhm.
And then I think the week I mentioned networking too. At the current office I work at, which is not cash based yet, but it's mainly at a network provider.
Yeah.
All the office assistants I've gotten to work there.
Yeah.
There's like only 4 of us, but I don't know. I guess networking also comes easily.
Huge. That's good. Networking is, I would say, an essential ingredient if you want to be an entrepreneur. So I would write that down somewhere. You got to be able to network. And what is networking really, if you think about it? Yes. Relationships, right? It's like a dating kind of thing, right? Except it's in business. So when I approach networking, what I immediately try to think about is I do a lot of research on the person I want to network with. We have a lot of strategic partnerships in the community. And then I'm already thinking, as I'm talking to the person, as I do my research, how is it that I can provide some value for what you do? So when I approach Fleet Feet, did anyone know Fleet Feet? Running store? Great. So we have a partnership with Fleet Feet in Raleigh where I actually write for them once a month for their blogs and twice a month for the newsletter. And let me tell you the story how I got there. So I went to North Carolina, had no network, right? No network at all, but I knew what runners and hybrid athletes were the people we want to work with. And so I thought, well, there's Fleet Feet here, and it's sort of a small business, franchisee kind of thing. So I found that they had a partner, they have a community liaison person. So I met with her name is Sharon. Sharon and I sat down 2021-ish, and here's the thing, when you go into a community partnership, they have heard the song and dance from every PT down the street. Hey, send me your patients. We're the best game in town. But what I said, Sharon, what do your runners need the most help with? Well, Jerry, and it's funny because her guard went down. No one has ever asked me that. Well, tell me, well, we actually like to partner with physical therapists because we know that they can do this and that, whatever. What can I do to help, Sharon? Well, I have these 5 events coming up. And we were a little short staffed. It wasn't quite what we're looking for, but I was like, Sharon, I'm there. Wednesday night, I was freaking exhausted. I'm an early riser. I'm not a good person to work at night, but I was there every single event, every Saturday event she had. And every single time she was like, you showed up. I was like, hello. And so she was like, it's funny because people say they're going to come out and they don't. So showing up, building that trust, right? The relationship is a big part of it. After I did this 5 events, I was like, Sharon, is there anything else I can help you out with? It's like, well, actually, we have this event in February. It's like a Valentine's Day event. Show the love or something like that. And so what I said was, hey, what do you think if we did like a tour of all the 4 stores in Raleigh? I'll start on Friday. We'll have segments throughout the day where we come in and we do a free regenerative session. So I brought my needle kit with me. We had sign-ups and stuff like that. And for 1.5 days, that's what we did. We made thousands of dollars that weekend. And she was so freaking grateful. She's like, no one's ever done that in the history of Fleet Feet. Thank you so much. Then she said, hey, listen, we actually have this thing called the PR Squad that meets every Tuesday night. We don't have anyone at the Raleigh. I know it's a little far. I'm there. So now I'm there. I'm leading the workout. I'm leading the warm-ups. Everyone says, hey, Dr. Jerry's here. Free publicity, right? Head coach and I are really good friends now. Then I run with them because I got to run anyway, right? I'm training for races. And then at the end, we do a cool down together. So they have had 3 exposures to me every single Tuesday. And right now, we're at a point where at least a few times a month, we get a runner from Fleet Feet. Somebody asked about doctor relationships. I can't remember who it was in the questions. Like, oh, how do you garner like relationships with the physician? One of the runners in that group is a rheumatologist. We've already gotten 2 patients from him just by hanging out, approaching as friends who run versus like doctor PT. Very different. Relationships really do matter. Now we're at a point where I'm actually going to meet the owner of the franchises and see if we can do anything more to help. But when you approach it from how can I help you versus how you can help me, it's a very different relationship. I'll tell you another story. In Montclair, I actually bought that practice, so I did an acquisition in 2021. And I knew the biggest, and we work with a lot of hybrid athletes. So there's one gym, boutique style, very similar to our practice, one-on-one, where the owner sort of, I'd say, not rough on the edges, but like, you know, he's a really good owner, right? Very cares about his community, protects his community. So I come in and I just sign up as a member, and I'm like, oh, I love the way you guys do your workouts. So he and I started talking and stuff like that, and I said, you know, Io, how can I help your community? And he goes, Jerry, number one, you're a paying member. And he said this to me point blank, said, I've had no fewer than 10 PTs come to me in the last week asking for my business. You're the only one who signed up as a member. You're a paying member of my community. How can I help you, Jerry? That first week, I had a guy come in, dropped $8,000. Do you see the value of these relationships? So when you are doing something that's a little bit different than the average person, the average PT who's coming and asking for referrals, things change. And then what happens is the law of reciprocation, which is, well, shoot, Jerry's doing all this stuff for me. Well, what can I do for Jerry, right? And I think that now their brain is thinking, well, what can I do to help Jerry now? He's been helping me out. He's coming to the workouts for free. He's not charging me anything. What can I do? Do you see how that happens? It's pretty wild. And this is a story of our success for the last 10, 20, 12, 15 years right now. Okay? I want to go over, so we got 3 locations, by the way. So our main location is in Woodcliff Lake. That's where we started. I moved to North Carolina in 2020 during the pandemic. Truth be told, I was actually going to sell our practice at the time because I was burned out, Amanda. And I was like, you know, maybe the pandemic's a sign that we need to let go of this or whatever. And then my business mentor at the time said, hey, Jerry, are you still making money? I'm like, well, yeah, so why the hell would you sell it? I'm like, you know, Paul, I don't know. So it actually reframed my mind because I'm not going to be there. How am I going to do this? You'll figure it out. Another way to expand my capacity. So I was like, you're absolutely right. So we made it happen. And then from there, a friend of mine who had the practice in Montclair wanted to sell. He asked me, hey, listen, this is what the story is. So he left the industry. He's doing very well right now. But he asked, would you like to buy it? So we talked about negotiation and we bought the practice. And from there, we actually attained, the reason why we did the acquisition, if you're going to go buy a practice, which by the way is one way you can start a practice, right, buying into a practice, they had great systems for marketing. And so we took those systems and we integrated into all the stuff that we did, which is really helpful. But so there was that practice in Montclair, and then down in North Carolina, we are 2 years into practice. And again, starting with no network, I'm telling you exactly how we built it up to this point where we're seeing 40, 50 patients a week. Our average revenue per visit is $248. You can do the math, right? It's pretty good. So the stuff works, right? I'm not trying to speak out of my butt. I'm putting it into practice right now in real time. This is stuff that not just me, but a lot of cash-based practices are doing. I don't know anyone in my network who's generating less than $500,000 a year. That could be anyone in this room, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Pay off your student loans, all that stuff. Okay, so I've done every model out there. So financial model. So we've done out of network. We have a hybrid model for all our practices. cash in network is the only practice that we have in network PT is down in North Carolina, and it's only one plan. It's the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. And that's only because they pay very well. So, and a lot of people are on that plan right now. There will be a day in time though, because now they're running into authorization issues. There will be a day in time when we drop that plan, and I'm 100% happy you're doing that. I don't want to deal with any kind of paperwork. It's just not my cup of tea. So that's what we've tried. As far as practice, clinical practice model goes, we have a fitness and physio model, so very similar to what you're looking to do, Nick. I think what works best in type of practice, yes, Ms. Isma?
What was the OOM?
Out of network. Yeah. So people who don't have in-network insurance, they'll pay out of pocket. We give them a super bill. They get reimbursed by their insurance company, if they even do. But what I have found, by the way, when we have patients who pay cash and they're asking about insurance, once they get the results, they're like, they don't even care about the super bill. They're like, whatever, I'm just getting the results I want to get. Really important. Okay. So right now we have, before the pandemic, we had fitness, which is a big part of our business. And we had a great community. After the pandemic, things went to crap, whatever. And so we put it to the side, but now we've actually brought it back. But because of the more intimate model that we have, we've actually been doing more small group personal training. So 4 to 5 people. We started this about 3 months ago or so. It's already been generating a lot of revenue for us. And what happens, it's a nice segue from physio, because that's part of the journey, into fitness. And we know that if something happens, they can come back into physio. See the cycle here? So we can grow our community within our doors. This also helps to safeguard revenue, because all businesses are cyclical. I can tell you right now that our quarter 2 and 4, spring and winterish, are our best quarters. Things are slow in the beginning. Things are slow in the winter, summertime, because people are on travel. But we want to try to dampen that sort of like up and down by having another revenue stream. I will caution you though by saying this, that when you're starting out, just focus on one thing. So just work on the physio part first. Let it, develop the systems, get familiar with how to run a physical therapy business, then start looking into other ways to generate revenue. If you do 2 at once, you will 100% fail. I can tell you right now. I know practice owners where that happened, not good. 2 minutes, you get too watered down, everything gets too sort of like crazy, and you cannot get to do the one thing that you're meant to do, which is to be a doctor of physical therapy. Cool? We also have a triathlon club in our New Jersey office. I am now the chairman, but we have someone else directing that club. And that has been really cool, because for us, a big part of what we talked about wanting to help people out, right? So we do a lot of stuff in the communities that we're part of. And every summer, for the last, actually 2 years now, we do a triathlon for the town. And it's in efforts to raise money for the food pantry and other organizations like Girls Who Run, I think it's called, or Girls That Run, yeah. So we did a big fundraiser event. We had 150 people. And here's the big win for us, right? Not only did they do the event, we raised a lot of money for the organizations we support, but now they're all in our email system, right? That's 150 people that we can market to. And we already had 2 patients from that. Yes, Gianluca.
Yeah, notice a pretty strong trend of you doing it.
Yeah.
It leads to like a bigger network.
Yes.
Similar to what
100%. Yeah, that's why networking is so important. So there are many ways, there are many marketing streams in which you can get leads, right? Leads are people who are maybe interested in what you're going to do. So that can be from email campaigns, that can be from networking campaigns, events, workshops, your paid ads and whatnot. So all of that stuff filters into your big reservoir of all these people which comprise your marketing. Everything in that feeds each other. So maybe they'll come to, I'll go to a running event, they see me, oh, he's at next level, to look me up, find me online, see my YouTube, see our podcast, see our Instagram, and then make a decision. Everything feeds into each other. So you can't really ever point to any one thing. So networking is a big part of that. And networking is the best part because it costs me no money. Anything you can do, and actually this is the first year we're actually able to lower our marketing budget, which was like, oh my God, because it's a lot. And that's because we did a lot more networking this year. So just as a way to save money, so you're going to trade time for money in the beginning, and later money for time, but that's a great way to get your business started. And by the way, if you want to start looking into, and I think somebody asked, well, should I start a practice after I graduate? I don't see why you can't. Why is that? You guys know 100% more about physical therapy than general public, right, Mesh? Nobody knows physical therapy like you do. I have a client right now who, I can't mention names, but he's 3 years out and at 400,000 this year. Crazy, right? That could be you, Dylan. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be there. Right. Good. So let's see. I will leave my contact information with Dr. Kirsch, and I'm happy to share these slides after we're done today. Okay, okay. So business, we want to break this down to 4 skill sets. I want to start demystifying business, all right? So 4 skills. Number 1 is going to be marketing. We talked a lot about that. Number 2 is going to be sales, and we're going to talk about that in a bit today. We're going to go through some scenarios. Number 3 is management of people, or people in general, people skills. And number 4, finances. So marketing, sales, people, finances. Incidentally, in your journey as an entrepreneur, these are the 4 areas that you will have problems. And it rotates. 1 year it was cash flow for us. 1 year it was people. 1 year it was marketing. That was actually a bigger problem than we thought it was. And the first year we started going into this stuff, it was sales. Like we didn't know how to sell cash-based practices, cash-based PT. And it wasn't until we got the hang of things that things were going in the right direction. But at any given point when one of my clients, we get on a call and they have a problem, I ask, which of the 4 is it? Marketing. Okay, let's talk about marketing. What did you do last week? Did you go out to the community like I told you to? No, I can't help you, right? We got to execute. This is what it means to be an entrepreneur. Why didn't you go? Well, I was thinking, no, you thought too much about it is the problem, right? And a lot of us, and tell me if this is you, anyone here ever get paralyzed by perfection? You can raise your hand in your mind if you want. Good. I was the same way. And if I could tell you how many opportunities I lost because I thought everything had to line up a certain way, rather than, as 2 of my consultants would say, 80% is good enough. You just have to get the thing moving. Because it's not going to be a perfect outcome no matter what. So we want to take a step, evaluate, assess, just like in physical therapy, right? We do something, do a reassessment, did it work? Great, we move forward. If it didn't, we take a step back, see what happened, and then we move forward again. Same thing in business, all right? Same thing. The good thing is that all of these 4 things can be learned, right? Like any other skill, like being a good clinician, same kind of thing. Okay. Before we get over here, can anyone define marketing in 1 sentence? I'll help you out, of course, but you want to give it a try? Since you didn't learn it yet, we're just going to just hash it out together.
I don't think it could be defined in a sentence.
Sure it can. Very easily. Yes, Dylan, give it a try. No one's going to laugh at you, don't worry. You're on the right track. We'll take the...
Have others buy.
We're gonna come back to that in a second. I think you're on the right track. Anyone else? Give it a try. Showing what you're doing is showing the value that you provide in your services to the people that you want to serve. That's all it is. So simple, right? That's all it is. So that's going to be through your social media, through your blog, newsletter, through your podcast, whatever that's going to be, right? That's everything that the person does to learn more about you and see if this is the right fit before they make that phone call or fill out the form to get contacted by you. Once that starts, we're talking about the sales process. The minute I get a call from Joe Smith, who saw my ad about runner's knee, that's when the sales process starts. During the sales process, now what we're going to do is we're going to qualify whether or not that person is the right fit for us and if we're the right fit for them. Does that sound sleazy to you, Malika? No, right? Did I force that person to buy? No. Was I trying to sell a hockey stick to a tennis player? No, right? That's what's the difference between ethical sales and non-ethical and unethical. So I'm trying to see if what I can provide, my solution, is the right fit for Joe Schmo. If it's not, it is my duty to say, you know what, I think you need to go somewhere else because I don't treat stroke patients or I don't treat Medicare patients, whatever that's going to be. Very simple, right? Simple, not easy. So now we have to narrow down on that ideal client. It sounds like for you, Nick, that you want to work with bodybuilders, is that right? Or not necessarily? Yeah.
Like, kind of just
so a gym enthusiast. Got it. Sure. Why don't you, let's pick one and go with it for a second. Let's just say Weekend Warrior. What are you gonna provide for that person that's gonna be different from going to JAG PT? Okay. Got it. How are you, Malika? Yes.
Had a drive and a folder dedicated to just themselves.
Love
so
it.
They can track their progress.
Gait analysis.
Yes, exactly.
That has been our biggest, like, if you could show people what they look like, swimmers especially, I could probably take lessons from you, Malika. If you could show people what they look like and what they're doing wrong, especially if they're active, soccer player, right? That's like, oh my God. And you say, hey, look, see how your knee's coming in here? This is what I'm afraid of, and here's why. That speaks volumes. I can't tell you how much recorded sessions in that first, we do a free consultation, in that first consultation, how quickly people buy into our program just from that, because they're like, oh my God, I didn't know I run that way. I look terrible. It's like, yeah, you do, but here's how we're gonna fix that. And this is why your knee's hurting, right? Do you all know what lead magnets are? So lead magnets are basically either a sort of something that you want to give to a person, like an ebook, for example, or a video, something that actually makes that person want to pursue you more. All right, so that might be a free ebook, that might be a free video on how to run. These are different aspects that you need to look at when running, when you're playing soccer, some things you might need to be aware of. These are different ways to get people into the door, because you want people to come to you, right, through your marketing system in that way. But the key with having a good lead magnet is making sure that it is valuable. So it's going to be free, but if it's a crappy lead magnet, it just says a lot about you as a person. And this is something else that Alex Hormozzi talks about, where it's like, give away free stuff, but make sure it's really good. Otherwise, now they're like, oh, that PT place that gave me that free ebook that was like really garbage, you wasted your time, wasted their time. So it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. So making sure that when you are going to provide something, that it is of value to that person for the kind of solution that you provide for the pain points that they have. Right? Yes, John Cole.
Does it have to be something tangible, or is
No.
like your free consult an example?
So a free consult wouldn't be a lead magnet per se, but a video, some sort of resource or media would be definitely. Hey, this is watch me how I fixed so-and-so's running gait. And it's you doing something with your friend or with your client or whatever it is, and then saying, I want you to watch this. So for us, we actually do success stories. So what we do is we curated content based on the person. So for example, Danny Lang, I can say this because he's on our thing. Danny Lang, 30s, runner, Achilles. So when someone comes in, same kind of thing. Hey, I want you to watch this video from Danny. So send them the things like, oh my God, it's just like me. You see that? When people feel like there's a likeness or relevance there, very powerful. So that much more, the more dialed in that you are about your ideal client, the closer the messages to what they're looking for, what pain points they have, the more likely they are to come in. So how do I know my marketing is working? What do I do? So I'll ask a patient, I asked this actually last week to one of our clients, what was it that made you decide to pull the trigger finally? I saw your video on this and I felt you were talking to me. That, for me, I know I'm hitting I'm striking a chord in my ideal client, right? That guy had the knee pain just like I did. That is why I came to see you, because I want to get back to running, because here's why. Very powerful. So that's what you have to obsess over the person you want to serve. Their family, where they go shopping, what they do on the weekends, what races they're doing if they're a runner. Hey, fall race marathon season is big right now. So all of our ads going out, hey, are you training for a fall marathon? This is how we get people to start sort of getting curious about what we do so that we can provide them with the value that we provide in their services. Any questions? Yes?
Do you still do free consultations?
Of course. Yeah. It's a forever thing. Yeah. And here's the thing. It's also, if you look at it this way, it's also a great way to provide a customer service or a community service, right? And let's just say, remember, not everyone's going to choose us because money might be a real issue, which is fine. But now giving them this roadmap of like, here, no matter where you go, Jimmy, I want you to take this with you. That way you can make sure that you're getting the right kind of care, because they have to address these things. If I could tell you how many people actually came back to us who couldn't afford our services, it would surprise you. So making sure that what you do is quality, that everything we do is quality, will ensure that you have this reputation, because now you're building reputation. And if you're doing something that's different than the traditional PT down the street, which is probably going to happen, you're going to be in a good spot. So around us, we have, I think in Cary, North Carolina, we have no fewer than 10 PT offices literally within less than a quarter mile. There's enough to go around, right? Let's not worry about that. But let's think about what we can do in our niche, in our circle, that can make that happen for us. Oh, that's the other thing I did when I went down to Cary, was I did my own research. So I went to different PT practices just to say, oh, whatever. I didn't say I was a PT. And in my mind, I'm like, this is really shitty care. I know that if I open something, we're gonna be just fine. And this is where we are. Because when you play against C players, it's not hard to be perceived as an A player, right? It's just the way it is. Yes, exactly. Exactly, and I'm glad you said that, Matt, because when I do these free services, right, and I know they're not gonna, they're so appreciative. They're like, well, how much do I owe you for this? This is free. Oh my God, I feel like you talked to me more than my doctor did, than my physician did. That's what we get all the time. They're gonna remember that, hey, I couldn't afford him, but you should go because we get that a lot too.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm say. That patient might not.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Exactly. And to Matthew's point, like I've often been surprised, and this is where we get the sales, right? I've often been surprised by the people who end up not buying from us, because I see their car in the parking lot. I'm like, what do you mean it's too expensive, right? I'm like, really? I'm not judging. I'm just saying. This is what I observe, right? And then I've had surprises of people are like, they're probably not going to be able to buy, and they make it work. So how much of your solution is really going to be valuable for that person, and how much of the value do they see that they can get from you? That is where you and I can't judge who comes through the door. I've been surprised too many times, more times than I like to admit.
Assume everyone can afford it.
What's that?
Assume everyone can afford it.
Exactly, yeah.
Treat everybody like they can afford it.
Yeah.
And you'll see it's just a game changer.
And by the way, has anyone in here bought something stupid that they, right? Do you think PT is better than another whatever, iPhone? Yeah, right? So here's the question I have to ask you, because here's the other struggle that some new grads have, which is, I feel bad for charging that much. Because there's a self-value issue. Maybe you haven't been taught your value. I'm telling you right now, you all know more. You all in this room know enough to start a practice tomorrow if you wanted to. So I wanted to give you that. I'm going to loan you that confidence, okay? Loan you that confidence. But understand that this is, you all can do this, right? It's not rocket science. You guys have gone through harder things in this program than what I'm saying. Yes, Esma. Yes. Yeah, so we have, what do you call it? What is it, Care Credit?
Yeah.
Yeah, Care Credit and Klarna? I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Or Stripe, I forgot what it was, yeah.
Stripe.
Yeah, Stripe. So they can pay that over time. Yeah, absolutely. So here's the cool thing. You get paid up front. They deal with the third-party vendor to pay it off. So you got your money, which is great. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Allie.
How did you determine?
That's a good question. How do you think I determined that? We want to make X% profit. From there, in order to do that profit, we have to make this much to get there. That's what it comes down to. And that's based on the expenses, whether it's payroll, whether it's my rent, other fixed expenses, other variable expenses, and that's it. And the other thing is like, well, how much do you want to make? How much do you want to generate in your practice, right? That's up to you. You get to decide. Yes, listen.
I was just wondering.
I would love to. I actually have a slide on this. Would that be okay? And actually, for two brave people, we're actually going to have you run through it, because this is exactly what I do for our new grads, and they are able to sell $300 IEs. Sell. One real quick thing about marketing, if you're going to make an offer, make sure it's specific to the person. So an okay offer is, download our free return to running program guide for plantar fasciitis. That's probably every other Facebook ad out there. Whereas after asking the question to the public saying, hey, are you suffering from painful plantar fasciitis and you have a race coming up? Learn how you can get back in 4 visits back into running. Does that sound a little more compelling than download our free guide? You got to make it worth their while, right? So make sure you reel them in. Show the value of what you're doing, and then give it away for free. That's the key thing here. So have we all agreed that sales is not sleazy? Dylan, we're good? Yeah? Larry, we're good? Excellent. Great. So this is great timing, actually. Shall we go through a discovery session? Here are a couple tenets that we use that are key phrases, and this is called our total value analysis. I borrowed that from Aaron LeBauer. I consulted with him, a great guy, knows his stuff. He was the guy who got me to think about 80% is good enough, all right? Yeah, actually, yeah. He's actually down in North Carolina too, so we actually met a couple times, but. Okay, in physical therapy, there's always 2 diagnoses. What are they? Oh man, someone's gonna answer this, I'll be really impressed. What are they, Larry? 2 diagnoses. Oh, I'm a doctor, look at what? Yes?
The physical impairment and the mental one.
You're so almost close, but not quite. But that was a good try, good try. Edmund, how about you? Malika, yes? Mesh?
I'd say the medical diagnosis and its presentation.
Very close. We're hitting it, yeah.
I was gonna say.
Oh, you're like right there. Okay, yes.
Can I? I want to take it with you first.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna say what they're traditionally diagnosed with and what they actually have. Like
So close. You guys so
I'm gonna
damn
go
close.
first,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yes.
go first.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Should have done a raffle. Like, oh my God.
What the patient thinks they have and what.
Yeah, that's just pretty much it. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you. So, the anticipation here. So basically, what it is, we're looking for the root cause and the symptoms that you come in with. So when someone says, "Oh, I have a meniscus issue," I say, "That's your symptom." Someone says that I got an ACL tear. That's a symptom of something else that happened. It was your mechanics, it was weakness, it was some deficiency, right? So when people hear, they're like, I never thought about that. Because now we're going to go after the root cause. Make sense? No one has been told that before. You say, hey, listen, there's always two diagnoses. I know you got numbness going down your hand right now, but it's probably not coming from where you think it is. The disc herniation is related to something else that you're doing. Really important. Because now we're going to say is, listen, we can chase pain all day long, but you'll be coming back here within less than a couple weeks. Or we can take the time to figure out what the root cause is and then treat the root cause so that these symptoms go away. Who's going to say no to that, right? We always talk about a whole person approach. And if you watch any of our success stories, I invite you to do that because this is what happens every single day. When I came in, I thought I was getting treated for my knee, but you actually fixed everything that was going on, and I've never seen that before. It's a very common testimony that people will say. And you can do that if you are in charge of your own destiny, if you have your own practice. You have the time, you have that hour with that person where you can go deep dive into what's going on. And that's when all the stuff that you learn from Dr. Kirsch and everyone else on faculty here comes into play. All your special tests, all your gait analyses, whatever it's going to be, your lifting analysis, all that kind of stuff comes into play when you're finding that root cause. And when you can say to that person, hey Mesh, based on what I saw from how you run and your knee pain, I think it's actually coming from how you land more than anything. So once, and I'm going to show you on this video over here how you look. And once we do that, now we can fix how you run. I can almost guarantee you that your knee pain is going to go away. Oh my God. And thankfully, 80–90% of the time it happens. So now you have this clinical confidence that you've acquired because you have the time to look at stuff that's happening. That person is like, no PT has ever spent that time telling me about the root cause and the symptoms. That's going to make you stand out. All right? I also use I prescribe a lot. And I learned that from another marketer in another totally different industry. And I was like, that is so freaking brilliant. I prescribe 12 visits for your plan of care admin because it's going to take us about that much time for us to get past the symptoms that you're having, address the root cause, and put you on this path towards success to get back into running. Sound okay for you? Oh, he's already sold. He's like, whatever, Jared, sign me up, right? Prescribe, I prescribe. You say that and people automatically think doctor mode. Oh, okay, he said 12 visits. All right, 12 visits. We have very little struggle from people when I say that, all right? The other thing I learned from my friend Justin Rabin was, yes, Esma.
When you say like I prescribe.
Yes, exactly. I prescribe 12 sessions for what you need. I prescribe this modality because we have seen how this can accelerate your recovery past the acute phase. You can do that, right? You're a doctor. You're not prescribing medicine. Okay. Although exercise is medicine, so that's another argument. All right, and the other thing that I learned from my very good friend Justin Rabinowitz, who's got a very successful rehab chiro group, and this is going to help people to finish off their plan of care, and that is rehab starts when the pain stops. Why is that important? What do most people do once they start feeling better? Drop off, ghost, goodbye, and feel better. But if I say, hey, listen, we have a 3-step process on how we get patients back to what they want to do forever. First phase is going to take about 3 to 8 visits on average, and that's to get you out of pain. But listen, Jean-Luc, I said Jean-Luc. Listen, Jean-Luc, like you've had this for 2 years. It may take a little longer than that, but that's on average what it's going to take us to get there. Okay, but Jean-Luc, if you want to get rid of this forever instead of chasing pain, the rehab starts when the pain stops. So that's when we build the foundation of strength, stability, and all the things that you need to get back into running. You clear? So don't miss your visits. Don't cancel on me either. We have like 4% cancellation rate. It's pretty low. Yeah. Wild, right? So when people see value and they pay for it, they will come. If they're dropping $3,000 on a plan of care, they will come to see you, trust me. And even if they have to space it out, sometimes the people, when they have financial issues, they'll still make their appointments. They're never going to miss them. I can guarantee you that. Cool. So this is my secret weapon. So if you can envision a whiteboard, and you guys will get a copy of this for coming today. Oh, hey now. And you can develop your own processes of what you want to do. And this is an evolution, so we're actually thinking of other things too as we do this. But I'm going to walk you through this, and guess what? We're going to have Malika come up. Coach Malika. Great. And who should be your client, your patient? This is a lab session. Dylan, come on. Oh, Dylan's so nice and willing. Okay, great. So we're going to say Dylan has knee pain, and you're a soccer player too, right?
Yep.
That was a wild guess. Great. So, Malika, you're going to look at this, and you're going to go from each square, sort of like top down. All right?
So asking, have you done PT before?
Whatever you've tried, all that, have you tried rest, have you tried chiro, all that kind of stuff, all right? When we get to this part, I'm going to start filling in some stuff for you, okay? Great. Ready?
Dylan, nice to meet you.
Before we do that, what's that first block?
Oh, what happened? Why are you here?
Okay, so before we do that,
Yep.
let's try to like really enact this.
Okay.
Dylan, what happened, man?
And I, in turn, it kind of hurt my.
Why are you here now? When did this happen?
I try to like walk it off. It started to hurt more.
Okay, so have you tried PT for this?
Before we go there, we're gonna keep diving into this. So this is, I'm gonna qualify this, okay? And this is just like top 3 questions, but we also ask a lot, right? I want to like deep dive into what's going on. I want to show Dylan that I care about him, that I'm giving him this hug without giving him a hug here. Like I really want to figure out what's going on with Dylan, right? And we all know from our orthopedic, we've taken musculoskeletal, right? How important is it subjective? That's where all the answers are, right? That's like 90% of what that's what's gonna lead you to the right tests, correct? So we're gonna dive in and be like, Dylan, tell me what you can't do anymore.
Well, I have trouble planting for sure. That hurts a lot. I can't really bear much.
Dude, Dylan, why is soccer so important for you?
I mean, it's just a way for me to have a nice outlet. I have a very stressful job, and so I'm a student.
So would it mean a lot for you? What would it mean to you to get back into playing soccer in a couple weeks?
Oh, it would mean the world. Like.
Did you see how his expression just changed? Oh my God, I mean the world, right? We just connected with his emotional driver there. So when we go through this process, we're being very strategic about the questions we ask and the result that we want, the response. I'm going to ask him about the physical driver. He's got knee pain, of course we know that. The external driver, well, I can't play soccer. And the emotional driver, oh my God, I mean the world, this is my mental health kind of thing, right? We always trying to repeat back to Dylan what's going on. So Dylan, it sounds like soccer is really important for you because it helps balance out the stress, and that's really meaningful to you.
Yep.
And you also play soccer for your whole life, right?
Yeah.
So you are a soccer player.
Absolutely.
Attach his identity to who he is, right? Good. Right. Good. excellent. So now that so why are you here now? Like you waited a couple weeks. Why are you coming out now? Why'd you wait so long?
So I waited because I felt as though this was something I would have to devote a lot of time to working towards. As a student, I feel like my time is very limited, so I'd be scared that I'd be able to go, but lose time with other things.
Oh yeah. So what do you think life is going to be like if you don't have these limitations? Yeah, what's life going to be like if you can get better?
I mean, it would probably be a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, and would you be able to get back to soccer?
I would.
Would you be happier that way?
I would.
You think you'd get your stress and sanity back?
Yeah, and that would probably make me more efficient with my schoolwork.
Imagine that, right? That's why we got to get you going. Okay, great. See the difference there?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Okay. Now let's go into Malika wants to just like go through this. All right. What's the next thing?
Have you tried?
And I was going to say, I'm so glad you're here, Dylan.
Yes.
Because I'm going to show you what PT is really about. Got it? Okay.
How much rest have you given yourself?
Oh, what was the question? I got distracted.
How much rest have you given yourself in the meantime?
I mean, I would say so for sure. I think I'm getting a little aggravated that I can't move as well, and I think it's reflective through my schoolwork.
I can totally feel how you would feel that way. We actually had a guy last week come in with same soccer injury with a knee, and he was so frustrated about his knee pain, but guess what? He's playing again. We want that to be you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I like the sound of that.
You didn't happen to go to
I
college.
think I do.
Yeah, so the way I should qualify, you're doing a great job, So what I usually say here is like, hey, have you tried rest? What's resting been like for you? Has it helped you?
I mean, I tried initially to give myself a week,
Uh-huh.
and then I tried to.
Got it. So here's what I do on our whiteboard, and I can't do it here. I will take a red marker, literally, and I will mark off the things that did not work for them. So you haven't tried PT. Okay, so we have a great example of how we can help you out. Was rest helpful? Not really. Okay. You didn't go to chiro or anything like that, right? And usually the questions are relevant to who's coming in. Someone has a neck or spine, I'll ask these questions. Hot pack, cold pack, well, So, exactly. And this is something where if I'm marking off all the stuff that they've tried, do you see how visually they're like, oh my God, everything I didn't work, okay? Do they sort of treat when somebody went to PT, I'd be like, well, did they just treat your symptoms? Did they tell you what the root cause was? 99.9% of the time, it's, no, they didn't. They said I had a meniscus issue. And I already told them that a meniscus issue is a symptom. So they're like, no, they didn't tell me the root cause. Okay, great. So you see how all these things that you've tried already, Dylan, have been working for you?
Yeah.
Right? So can I talk to you about what things we tried that might be a little different? Awesome. Do you see how I asked him and invited him to? You see the right? Good. All right. So you haven't tried a customized approach yet, have you?
No, I don't think so.
Good. So now I have my green marker. Check. And you haven't tried a whole person approach because they've only been chasing symptoms, right? Check. So on, so forth. Everything that we provide, shoot, I have a lot of options on how it can get better. This is amazing. This is what we give them hope for, all right? And now I say this again very cautiously where I know that 90%, 89% of the people coming in will get better from our care. I can say that with confidence just because of my experience. But I know that if I can take them and help them to see something different, something shifts in them as well. And what we know from the pain science is what? If I can shift how you are thinking about pain, isn't that going to be therapeutic?
Yeah.
In that first session, they might start feeling better already. Powerful. I didn't touch you yet, right? Just a little pat in the back there, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now, I'm going to take over from here. Is that okay, Malik? I don't want to. You do a great job. Yes?
What do you mean by cookie cutter?
What's the cookie cutter approach? Clamshells, straight leg raise, right? The stuff from the 70s with little stick figures on it, right? Okay. So now we're going to go over here. So, hey, listen, Dylan. You can stay over here for a second. Yeah. Dylan, thank you for being an example.
Absolutely.
So, Dylan, we've covered some stuff that hasn't worked for you. We've shown you some options that actually can work for you, that we have seen success in all of our clients.
Yeah.
Here are the things that you and I have to talk about, because if these things are not under control, I can almost guarantee you that you're not going to get the kind of result we're looking for. So what do we know about stress, ladies and gentlemen? Is that a good environment to heal? So when people start telling me about stuff, I will then circle things in red or green. And I'll tell you the biggest thing for all of our runners, and maybe Jean-Luc can say this as well, nobody's taking enough protein, right? We know from the current research that you need about 1 gram per pound body weight to be at a good level, especially if you're active. If you're injured, do you think that you might need a little more protein? Yeah. Everyone underestimates or overestimates how much protein they take. So I will actually sit down with them. So tell me what you have for breakfast. Oh, I had an egg. Okay, great. About 7 grams. Whatever. What'd you have for lunch? I had a chicken breast, about 20 grams. Dinner, what'd you have? Well, I had some veggies, like 1 gram. Okay, so and you're 180 pounds. Do you think you took enough protein? They're like, oh my God. It's like a mind blow for them. Is this within our scope? Can we ask these questions? This is based on general research, right? We all know this, all right? Hydration, do you think that can help joints? Heck yeah, right? What color is your pee when you pee? Yellow? You got your little water, right? Do you get enough natural light, right? Vitamin D, very therapeutic. Vitamin E. What's your exercise profile like? Now, we happen to see people who exercise too much, probably. So we have to tone it down or help them to find other ways to cross-train. But for people who don't exercise, it's like, listen, I can do everything here, the best care that I can give you. If we don't have you on a consistent fitness program after we're done, it's all for naught. You're going to go back to where you came in, and all these things are going to come back again. Is that what you want? No. Okay, great. So let's get on our program. And runners in particular, everyone's sort of in endurance sports. This is kind of my specialty, right? So a lot of endurance runners don't see strength training as part of their training. They see it as the other thing they have to get to. But the most successful runners that we've treated when they've actually understood now are have the most successful outcomes for long term. So one of my guys, I love this story, his name's Scott, if you watch his video. He was talking about how he thought he was strength training because he was doing mostly body weight stuff, which is good. But he wasn't loading, no progressive overload in his programming. And he wasn't doing unilateral stuff. And he's a runner, he runs 100-mile races. He committed to 12 weeks of doing this, and he has been injury-free for now 8 months. Right? Pretty amazing, right? And he's like, Jared, I've never felt this strong in my life, which is crazy. And he's in his 40s right now. So when people start feeling the difference here, it's pretty wild. And then their opinion of you, like we have a community that we work with down in North Carolina. He's like the preacher's like, you gotta go see next level. We have those guys who do that. So it's very powerful. What's your stress like? Is everything okay at home? You don't have to get personal about it. He got into this, right? Yeah. Right. So here, this is where we ask questions because, as you all know, what happens with chronic pain sometimes? Do people in chronic pain like to hang out with people? They've lost their identity, right? They're a runner, they can't run anymore. They're a soccer player, they can't play soccer anymore. They put on 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, sitting on the couch feeling miserable about themselves. So I ask, hey, stress level 0 to 10, more than a 5, less than a 5, more than a 5. Great, we got to figure out how to get that down, because if we don't, we can't, this is not going to work. It was not going to work, right? So now do you see how this is the ownership part of our clients now. If you don't do these things, this is not going to work. You have a big part to play in this role if you want to get better, and you better own that. Because I'm going to ask you every single week what this is like, and I do. And sometimes I get well, you know? But we want to keep accountability. It's a partnership. That therapeutic alliance is very real here. It's got to be a partnership there. Sleep. What do we know about sleep and recovery? And I'll tell you, a lot of our guys and gals struggle with this, especially after having kids. It's hard. As a parent of 2 kids, very hard. So 7 to 8 is the minimum. If they're not getting that, we got to find ways to do that. And the first question I ask is, what time do you turn off your technology? Well, I go to bed with my phone. Okay, let's stop doing that an hour or 2 before. Just shut it down. See what happens. And you'd be surprised how many people start feeling better when they go to sleep and actually get deep sleep. Important, right? Simple things that you and I know. Anyone here follow Andrew Huberman? Yes. So these are his 5 pillars. So we borrowed this from Andrew Huberman. So thank you, Andrew Huberman. Okay, and for our guys and gals over 30 or 40, we asked them, hey, when was the last time you got your testosterone checked? Because after 30 or 40, a lot of guys have lower free testosterone. Just get it checked. Again, I didn't prescribe anything here. I'm just saying, hey, these are things that we have found in our population of guys and gals that when they get these checked out and there's deficiencies, that can actually help influence how rehab goes. Yes, Esma?
So when you're going up with the nutrition,
Yeah.
you're just questioning about
So what I say is, what we know from the research is that X number of grams per day is helpful for a lot of different people. And we don't have any people with chronic diseases or anything like that. So it's like, this is something that I would do, or that I've seen in the research to be helpful for you. So we're talking about general knowledge, and Dr. Kirsch, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're talking about general knowledge and what's already out there, you're not forcing anyone to do anything.
okay, so
Yeah.
stay within yourself.
Exactly, yeah. We're not saying, yeah, exactly. Cool. And then over here, these are supplements that we have found to also be helpful, right? So we're not saying you got to take this stuff. That'd be very different. I'm saying you got to take creatine. I'm going to say, hey, we know from the research that runners and people who are in the gym benefit from creatine. This is something that we use. This is something that I use. Okay, well, where do you get that? Okay, well, let me, here's an Amazon link. I can show you. It's up to you to take that. If you need to check with your physician, that's fine. This is a supplement, so it's up to you on if you want to take that. Yes, John Cole.
Is it too much of an assumption to say that the clientele that you see?
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, there are more and more people now taking creatine for brain health and for endurance recovery than I expected, which is great. That means that education is getting out there, because we know from the exercise fit science that creatine is amazing for recovery for runners, hands down. Omega-3s we know is generally great for inflammation and recovery. Collagen we know from the research that it helps with our joints, right? So if you got cartilage issues, meniscus issues, if you're a runner, things that you can do things that are proactive to help that. And it also makes your skin, teeth, and hair look good too. Vitamin D3, vitamin D, these are all things that are generally out there known. I'm not like saying you got to take this, otherwise it's life and death. No. I always ask about fiber because people with chronic pain tend to have weird stuff going on in their bowels, and that can affect recovery and hormones as well. So it's good to know that, hey, what's your number 2 like? Is it loose or is it solid? Great, okay. Just simple questions. This gives the person the perception that you are a holistic person. And if you hear our testimonials like, yeah, I feel like it's a holistic sort of PT thing. It wasn't, and it was like, it would be a disservice for me to call it PT. Isn't that crazy? And that's exactly what we're trying to do, as we're basically direct primary care in some ways, musculoskeletal, right? And this is what enables you to have that sort of reputation. That they're not going to just look at your knee pain coming in, they're going to see how everything fits together and how does that align with the goals that you want to get to. Really important. And then I ask, very nicely, would it be okay, Jean-Luc, if I were to tell you about our 3-step process? What are you going to say? Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, exactly, right? So I didn't force it, right? It's not trickery. Okay, so then I say, hey, listen, we have a 3-step process. Our level 1 is to get you out of pain, and we retrain the brain here. So your running gait, we know, not you, your running gait kind of sucks. So here are the things that we have to fix, right? And this is what we're going to set here, because it's going to take some time for your brain to understand what we're now doing. Okay, we're going to get you out of pain, improve your range of motion, get you back to living an everyday life. But again, rehab starts when the pain stops, right? This is where we're going to stabilize, secure, and strengthen the stuff that needs to create the right foundation. We're going to load and expose all that tissue so you can get back to your level 3 here. And here's the cool part, Dylan. The better you do, the less I want to see you. I don't want to see you 3 times a week for the next 8 weeks. That means that I didn't do my job and we didn't find the right root cause. Our average plan of care is about 12 to 15 visits. And some people will have to, it will go to like twice a week. And I usually say the first month is like twice a week for the first 3 to 4 weeks. From there, it's once a week if you're doing better. So we say, hey, you're in your phase 2. Awesome, great job. Phase 3, okay, great. You know what? Now you're able to run. We're not able to run a half marathon yet, but I want to see you once every 3 or 4 weeks now. Awesome. We want to do this phase because we want to stay with you in case something comes up. We can address it right away. Because it just means that we're still not kind of dialed in yet, but we will dial things in as they go. Who's going to argue with that? Now here's the kicker. You know, Dylan, I need to tell you something though. I wish that everything we did was linear, but that's just not life. It's not physical therapy either. We're going to have small ups and downs in here in that first few weeks. Don't get worried, don't panic. It's normal. And just let me know the next time I see you if it happens. Is that cool with you? But you got to let me know. All right? But as we go, you'll see that this is where we want to be. And you will get better more consistently over time. Does that sound okay? Yeah. And you'll be surprised how many people will come in after the first couple sessions like, yeah, you know that graph you showed me? That's kind of like that down day. Yes? Right? Does that, now we have pre-framed the results, so now the expectations are managed. They know they might feel a little worse. They might feel a little tender and sore. They're not going to freak out or panic or blame you and want their money back. They know that if they do the things that are required, because now they've taken ownership over part of the process, that they have a much better chance of getting the benefit of our treatment strategy. We've covered all of our bases, yes.
Do you find that
yes.
after 3 to 4 weeks,
Oh yeah.
we come?
Why do we tell them, hey, listen, I don't want you dropping back to phase 2 or 1, do you? Good, I need to see you in that 3 weeks, got it? You gotta be directive. You are the doctor, and I think the mistake a lot of people, I used to make this mistake too, is that we kind of let the patient dictate, oh, you wanna come back? No, you're coming back next week on Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock. We good? Great. You see a difference there? Don't give patients a choice because human nature will dictate. Oh, well, you know, it's your time too, right? That's why I say, don't cancel on me, all right? I'm very direct. I don't got time, so don't cancel on me because I want you to get the results and I don't want you to slip them back to phase 1 again, do you? Always put it back on the patient. Give them ownership of this. They have to take ownership of that. You can sit down now. Thank you so much. Now, this takes us about 20 to 25 minutes when we do it on the spot. This is the exact process I taught my new grad down in North Carolina and what we taught Anthony over in our Wycliffe office. And that is what enables them to get the trust, confidence, and security in being able to help this person see the bigger picture here. Did it sound like I was selling, did I talk about physical therapy? Really? Hey, we're gonna do joint manips, and did I say that? They don't know what the joint manips are. They don't know what a grade 5 means. Was there any jargon in this? Any PTNEs? No, right? Nothing. Very simple language, very practical things that they can do to help them get to where they want to be. This is where 80 to 90% of our sales process is now closed. They're like, what's the next step? So the next step here, Nick, is that I need to have you come in for the initial evaluation because that's where we're going to determine what your plan of care is. I'll tell you exactly how many visits I think you're going to start off in your initial plan of care. Write that down. Initial plan of care. Because some people will need a little bit longer. You've just protected yourself. Your initial plan of care will be this, but I'll determine it after the initial evaluation. Does that sound good? Yes, Allie?
So you're not...
Sometimes we do. Sometimes like, hey, I want to start right now. We want to slow things down because we want to make sure they feel certain too. But we will sign them up that week for the IE because we don't want them to lose that other thing, you know?
So is this just a...
This is a scheduled free visit.
Gotcha. Okay.
So here's what happens. They saw my amazing blog on running knee pain. Call my office. They talk to Karen, my office manager. Karen goes through the qualification process, which is a series of questions to make sure that we're the right fit. And based on these questions, hey, you know what? It sounds like you might be a good fit for what we do because I think we have the right solution for what you need for this knee pain. And we want to get you back to running because it's how you lost weight 20 years ago. I don't want you missing out on that. Let's sign you up for a discovery visit, or for us, it's called a TBA, right? Great. Coming in, it's a 30-minute session. The doctor's going to go over 3 things. We're going to deep dive into your history, right? We're going to do a quick assessment of what you are doing, what you've tried, and then we're going to talk about next steps. Did I do an evaluation on Dylan? It felt like one, right? We did a lot of talking. But he felt really informed, right? I know I'm getting when I get out of this. So when you come in for your initial evaluation, that's what you're going to expect, right? We're going to talk about, so initial evaluation, people come in, there are 3 things. We're going to go deep dive, take some baseline measurements, right? I'm going to actually work on you because we're going to address those couple of things, the symptoms that you've had, so that your root cause can be addressed using the approaches that we use. So we're going to start treating you that same day. And then I'm going to tell you the plan of care that I prescribe. Got it? Always 3 steps.
Quick question. How
Yes.
did you train Karen, the office manager?
So we have a script, and we had many practice runs, and I had my team from New Jersey who've already mastered the script to work it with her. So, and she also was she's a very pleasant woman, and she also owned the business before. By the way, finding people is your most important job as CEO founder. You got to find good people. So Karen was a patient of mine coming with knee pain. I treated her son, and she was amazing. I was like, I had this good feeling about her. I was like, what are you doing in life? She's like, well, I used to sell beer. She actually owned a brewery. But now I want to do something where I can help people. I was like, well, I got something for you. She's been with us for 6 months. First month, she mastered the entire script. It was like, so we recorded her calls, had her listen to the calls to make sure she's on point. Had our other team from New Jersey make sure that reliability was there. And now she's all set to go. Yeah. So now she actually now created the SOP, the standard operating procedure, for the next person. So when they come in, they know how to answer a call. And actually, she's been training our other staff on how to answer calls too. Answer your question? Cool. Yes?
So this is basically what you do for all your patients, non-runners included?
Yeah, so anyone coming in, and again, we typically track the runner and hybrid athlete, but this is a process we use for anyone calling in wanting to come in and curious if they're the right fit for what we provide. Yeah. So a lot of people, yes, Ali.
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
So is this in your normal schedule?
Yep. I was just something magical about that.
Like hour blocks or
So then we schedule around that.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, and to your question, I think, Ali, some people will say, I'm kind of on the fence, but I think I like this kind of thing. So then Karen will actually block off the entire hour saying, hey, and she'll let me know this might go into an IE. So we have the time blocked. If she has a good sense of that person, then we have that time. Yes. So what we do is we send them a roadmap summary. So all the stuff that's on the whiteboard, we put that into a template for an Excel, a Google Doc, and we send it to them. But we have the information, we can actually put that now onto the IE when we do the IE. This is basically all the IE, the subjective, right?
So like
Yes, so if they convert. Otherwise, they have the roadmap for them. Like, this is stuff that you can take. We also have the copy, so we protect it ourselves. So we have the documentation.
Okay.
Yep. Yes?
To those people that you don't, that they don't fit your clientele, where do you?
We have 2 places that I know of that will give good traditional PT care.
And how did you find them?
Those are the places I sampled.
Okay.
So I know, so I should take a step back. I sampled them knowing that this would be a good place for the traditional PT model, not good for the model that we have. Yeah. Because they're looking for basic care. So that's one of the questions. Hey, looking for like basic stuff, or you're looking to get back into an activity? I just want to walk up and down the stairs. Great. You're not right for us. You got to go somewhere else.
And do you get anything for that referral, or is it just?
No. It's the goodness of our hearts. We help. And here's the thing, relationships, right? I've now created a relationship with another practice. Hey, we don't see this type of patient. I'm happy to give them over to you. They're happy. Hey, if anyone comes for cash and you guys are runners, I know you guys are the guys, whatever. And that's another thing, because a lot of people say, well, aren't there a lot of like running practices, whatever? And yes, in fact, in North Carolina, there's a place called the Running PTs. Best thing that ever happened to my business. Because the first question I ask someone from that office is, did they do a running assessment? No. I'll leave it at that. And as a result, we've had a lot of patients come over from there, which that's really cool. I want to answer some questions that came in, the 10 questions. So we're going to spend some time on that. I'm going to try to rush through that a little bit. Is that okay? Great, and I'll let you guys go. So quick, how many years after licensing did you open up your first clinic? For me, it was 5 years. But if I could do it over again and I had someone speak to me in this class, I probably would open up sooner. One of my clients was thinking about doing an orthopedic residency. I said, why are you going to do that? Don't you know 100% more than the general population? Yeah. Why don't you just start? So he's very happy he did. He was like, thank you for saving me from a year of this residency. I was like, absolutely. When should you consider opening practice? It's all individual, of course. And I don't know your situations. I don't know your niches. And certain niches are going to be much harder than others to get started. I can tell you that if you're looking at orthopedic sports, especially like with runners and people in their 30s to 50s, it's a very good range of people to work with. And again, like I said before, don't get fixated on well, you know, I want to treat kids. You will get the kids over time. Trust me. Trust me on that. What inspired me? Same as you. I wanted to do things differently, but I also wanted to make a lot of money. Not for myself, because everything I make reinvests into the business, because I knew that I wanted to scale. So I knew that if I can live on a certain amount under my means, and by the way, that's another big thing. As you make more money, the temptation for you to overspend on yourself goes really high. And you will hit valleys in your business. The closer you can to living at a certain expense level, right? And not showing off what you got or whatever, all that kind of stuff. But people do this, and it is what it is. You will safeguard your family and yourselves from trying to uphold this image of being successful on the outside and your business is struggling on the inside, all right? Nobody needs to know how much you make except for you and your family, right? Key areas beyond quality of care. Oh, so the other traits about being an entrepreneur. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to learn how to hustle, right? The balance will come with time, like we said, but if you want to be like, oh, I'm going to do a 9 to 5 practice, it ain't going to work. You have to understand that. This is not like, people only see the tip of the iceberg when they see successful practices. I can tell you from my own group of guys who've been doing this for a while that there's a lot of struggle that happens that people don't see behind closed doors. They only see like, oh, they're a 7-figure practice. There's a lot of stuff happening that got us there. A lot of struggle, a lot of sacrifice I had to make to get there. A lot of time I lost with my family because of the situation we're at the time to get to that point. So just understand that. You got to have the hustle. You have to execute. I'm going to bring this up again. Do you want to be an entrepreneur or entrepreneur? Thank you. Entrepreneur, right? So you got to take action. Don't pussyfoot it. Just take the action. One step at a time, just like you would as a clinician. How much does it cost to start a practice? This is a good one. So it depends on how you want to go about doing this. I started off in gyms, and I subleased and had a small footprint there. We've done that, and that's successful. You can make a lot of revenue per hour because you don't have expenses. What I would not do is split profit or split revenue with the owner. Do a flat fee, because then it becomes very different. Like you want to say, hey, this is the rent that we agreed to. I'll pay this amount. Do not share do not share in that revenue. And I think there might be some issues with that too. Yeah, practice-wise. So sometimes you'll have gym owners say, hey, why don't we split revenue? Like you charge $200, I'll take 30, you take the rest, right? Don't do that. That sets you up for some bad stuff legally. Qualifications needed to own a clinic. So we talked about hustle, we talked about execution. You got to learn how to collaborate, so networking, really important. You got to stay curious, okay? And you got to be coachable. Those go hand in hand. So what I mean by that is there are some practice owners who think they know it all, just like there are clinicians who think they know it all, and you don't know it all. I will guarantee you that you'll limit your success if you fall into that category. So make sure that you stay curious about how much better can I do in my practice to get it to a certain level? How much better can I be as an owner to lead my team? How much better can I get at marketing to make sure the messaging sticks to the people I want to serve? How much better can we improve our sales process? These are questions that constantly come to my mind. 20 years later, same thing. How much better can we get? If you do that, you will constantly hit the higher bars that you want to get to, right? So I have an attorney, and I have actually, my business knowledge is from my mentorships that I've had personally. I've probably invested several $100,000 into my own knowledge, but it's also, the ROI has been massive over time. This is over time. But the more you are the most important asset in your business at any given time. Founder. You created that practice from nothing. Should you not invest in yourself? Are you not worthy of that? Take as much business as you can from people out in the community. I do some coaching too. If you want to talk with me, I'm happy to talk with that. But I would say there are plenty of coaches out in the space that can help guide you on your path towards success. All right? Marketing strategies, we talked about those things. How do we that's the other thing. Making sure that, I think I talked about this, but get involved in the community that you're serving, right? Whether it's directly involved in the community through coaching or whatever it is, or being a part of it, like if it's a running group, run with them. You got to run anyway, right? The primary challenge about new entrepreneurs is your mindset. It's going to mess with you every single day. Did I make a mistake in doing this? Oh my God, right? What else? As far as challenges go, sometimes it might be one of those 4 things like I talked about before. I think it's making sure that you understand that marketing is the most important player. You need to make sure that you are the clinical marketer or a marketer who is a PT, not a PT who does marketing, right? So if you can put that hat on and think as a marketer, like how do I bring more value to what I do? you will be much better off than most of the PTs out there right now. The practices that are struggling, that are doing just the in-network model and seeing 5 patients an hour, that's a hard model to do, sustain over time. But if you know how to speak to your people and you can get over the marketing thing, you're going to be in a much better position. Overcoming the hardest challenges in practice, we'll go over another time. How do you ensure quality care without high patient loads? Charge enough, right? How can PTs get paid well without overbooking? Charge enough. A lot of things can be solved with cash flow. It's an amazing thing. When you have money, very easy to solve these issues. So I think the average caseload out there is now like 70 to 80, right? I think ours is like 30, 35. That's a different kind of week, right? Paperwork, EMR isn't that hard at that point. Very different. Which means that you have less burnout and your team is happier because they can actually write notes as they're having a conversation with someone. Everything's a much better pace. Incentives don't really work with physicians, I have found. It's the relationships that really matter most. I have tried the other route where like, oh, you did the lunch thing. It's a waste of money, honestly. Waste of your time and money. You better find a way to I would actually rather make sure, send a note with a client, patient, and say, hey, listen, can you tell Dr. So-and-so how good of a care you got? That actually gave us an inroad at Hackensack Hospital. One of our PTs did an exceptional job, Nick, with a patient with ACL, to the point where the doctor was like, hey, I don't know what they're doing over there. We need to have them on a preferred provider list. Amazing, right? So that kind of stuff, that's how you get the friendship going. Now that I know that, I will now reach out to the doctor and say, hey, I'd love to meet with you. Can we talk about what we do differently? Then I'll have them probably on my podcast. I use podcasts as a way to establish relationships with people in the community that I want to work with. So we had a spine surgeon, a shoulder surgeon, pain management, a psychiatrist who works with certain populations that need to have physical therapy, and it's been amazing. When you give them the limelight, and you're offering some authority and preeminence to them as well, they benefit from it too. And it's funny because some of our podcast guests who are experts in their fields have gotten patients from the podcast. So they're like, this is amazing. That's another thing about marketing. And because we have little time, you want to make sure that you're repurposing as much as you can. So if you're going to do a podcast, we transcribe that into a blog. I take that and I do our ads with that because it speaks to the people that we want to serve. Then I'll write an ebook. Then it'll become clips for different kinds of things, all from one episode, right? You don't want to keep reinventing the wheel every time you do something. You want to be efficient in your time and management of that. Okay? I think Ali answered your question about our prices. How do you set your prices? Ups and downs, real quick. On any given day, on any given hour, there's an up and down. And again, it's one of those 4 problems. And this is again, but we're building capacity over time. I've been at this for a long time, so things don't bother you as much. I know things will get better with certain kinds of things. But this is something you have to expect. But isn't it better if you have control over that? Right? Wouldn't you have it better your way? Right? Cool. Yeah, if you would like to. If you want to start practice right after, I know several people who have done that, not even coached by me, who are doing very well. So there's no reason, there's nothing that should stop you from doing this, as long as you're clear on who you want to serve, and as long as you have a pretty good understanding of marketing and how to leverage things like AI to do a lot of marketing for you, as far as content creation, and then be able to understand the sales process. Those are 2 skill sets that you have to have. That's it. You can start. Start in a gym if you want. Start somewhere. Minimal cost. All you need is equipment that you need for your population, whether it's a couple of kettlebells, dumbbells, foldable table. Very easy to start. Okay. I currently rent our properties. Next year we have an opportunity to buy, but we're going to see how that goes. If you want a system that really works clinically, my friend Dr. Tom Padilla, you can scan that if you want. Amazing clinician. I actually had a very chronic back issue, SI joint issue that he was able to help me solve, and he's got a very easy system of how he trains his new grads to do this system clinically, where they feel confident after a couple weeks. We have used that for our new grads. It's been really helpful. Cool. Anyone here Zach Couples? Also, great clinician, good friend of mine, has an amazing course, provides a discount to you if you want that as well. If you want to learn biomechanics in different light, looking at it from being a stacked position, your ribcage dynamics and your pelvic dynamics, great mentor. And my good friend Shauna Sorger as well. By the way, I get no proceeds from this.
We have a podcast with Zach Couples up on YouTube.
Yes, that's right. With Tom, Sean, and Zach. Yeah, awesome guys. They know their stuff. I would absolutely trust you guys to go into their mastermind groups clinically. And if anyone wants to connect with me, you can. But the 10 people who did send me their stuff.
I was say the podcast is actually called Beyond Physio.
Oh, yeah,
We'll
Beyond
get it from
Physio.
the link tree,
Yeah.
But if you go to YouTube, Beyond Physio.
Cool. Any last minute questions before I go on my flight? Yes?
So since this
Yes.
is intolerant, your risk of
It depends on the backing that you have and the friends and family around you. Yeah. It's definitely risky and very scary when you first start. I was scared poopless when I started, right? And I had 2 young kids at the time, and my wife was at home, and I had to make ends meet. So what I did was I had to work, because I was a breadwinner, I had to work part-time jobs while I was building my practice. Very hard. You gotta do what's required for your practice to get started. Once I gained traction where we could actually make expenses, I left that side and I just dove full into this. So if you need a side hustle while you're doing the main hustle, you gotta do it. Some people are very lucky and they have a spouse who makes the living, which is awesome. That wasn't really helpful for me, but it is what it is, right? I was actually happier knowing that my wife would take care of my kids than having my kids in daycare, my wife working as well. That was more stressful for me, so that's what worked for our family. Cool. Any other burning questions? Yes, Amanda.
I was going to ask this after, but other people had this question.
Yeah.
How much do your new breads make?
How much do they what?
How much do your new breads
I'll say somewhere between 80 to 90.
Okay.
Is that reasonable? Yeah, that's without the other benefits that come along with it. So 401k, medical, that stuff, PTO, and continuing ed. If you put that in there, they're probably well over 90. A total compensation package. Yeah. But that's the cool thing that we try to do is actually we try to create avenues for our clinicians to do their own community so we can actually reward them for that. And that's the level that we're going towards right now. Like I really want everyone to have their own community so that they can actually benefit financially from that as well. So that there's no ceiling to what they can do. Cool. Good?
Thank you so much for
My pleasure. I wish we had more time. Was that helpful? What's one takeaway? Dave?
Be confident.
Yes. You feel more confident now? You got this?
I think so.
Yeah, right. Allie, how about you, Allie? Yeah. And the hardest part right now is getting your license. And that's not that hard. You just have to study for it, right? Cool. Yes, they got this.